Whole sales on Anzac Day morning, Good Friday, Easter Sunday and Christmas Day Amendment Bill be now read for the first time. I nominate the Justice Committee to consider the bill. Madam Speaker, in a week's time, people will be going to bars and restaurants and the supermarket, and they will be able to purchase alcohol like any other day of the week. And then the following day, they won't. And then the next day, they will, and the following day, they won't. And the question has to be asked, why? Why is it that on Easter Sunday and Good Friday, there are different rules that regulate how alcohol can be served than any other day of the year? In fact, there are 3.5 days. There's Christmas Day as well, and there's Anzac Day morning, but given the proximity to Easter, I will focus on that. It seems that this rule is in place because it always has been, and that's not really a good reason to have a rule. On every other day of the year, the distribution of alcohol is essentially determined on health grounds. The rules by which a liquor licence is decided and the conditions under which an establishment can serve alcohol is heavily influenced by health considerations. But it's not on these days. If I wanted to go to the pub on Good Friday, I would have to buy a meal to have a drink. The same applies to Easter Sunday. Why is that? Why is it that hospitality workers have to concern themselves with monitoring what people eat in order to do their job that they are more than capable and highly skilled at doing every other day of the year? This bill, Madam Speaker, will address that. Now, I expected this. I expected the ACT Party to heckle this because I understand they're disappointed that Cameron Luxton's bill got voted down. I get it. But this is an example of all the other attempts to change these rules. Every other attempt has gone beyond what Parliament is willing to accept because it's not actually as simple as liquor licensing rules with all the other bills that have been put forward. They've looked at trading laws and they've looked at labour laws. This bill does neither of those things. It is about the sale and supply of alcohol, and that's it. And in preparation for this debate, I looked through the speeches of Mr Luxton's bill, and there were broad ranges of concern and opposition to it. The Labor Party didn't support it because we don't support any changes to what is essentially, for most workers, guaranteed days off. We also don't support any changes around labour laws in that. There were also concerns by members of Parliament that liberalising alcohol laws is bad for the community. I don't agree with that, and we'll explain why this bill doesn't do that in a moment. There were also concerns by members because of their personal religious beliefs, which I respect. But I'm going to touch on that first. Easter is a Christian holiday. I am Catholic. I'm not a very good Catholic, but I'm still Catholic. I attend Mass at Easter and at Christmas. At no point in my religion, and in fact the vast majority of Christian religions, does it prohibit you from drinking alcohol on Good Friday or Easter Sunday. I'm not going to eat meat on Good Friday. Would this Parliament support a ban on serving meat in this country on Good Friday? Of course it wouldn't. But exactly the same logic applies here. On Easter Sunday, when I leave Mass, I'll go home and have hot cross buns. Then I'll have lunch and I'll crack open a beer. I've done this every year since I was 18, and if I'm honest, probably a couple of years before that. But what is wrong with that? If these rules are determined on religious grounds, yet the religion that has led to the holiday doesn't prevent the consumption of alcohol, what is the logic behind this? There is none. I respect those that hold views that would lead them to not want to consume alcohol on those days. Absolutely respect that. But what about those people that don't hold those views? Why should they be prevented? The same goes for Anzac Day morning. There is a restriction on the serving of alcohol on the morning of Anzac Day. But what this has led to is that RSAs have had to apply for special licences to serve rum and the coffee to veterans. Surely that is considered counterproductive. On Christmas Day, the same logic applies, although I'll put this to the House. If members wish to send this to Select Committee and they have reservations about Christmas Day, I'm happy to negotiate. We've got to be pragmatic. I have no problem with it, but when you look at all the other examples of attempts to change these rules that failed in this Parliament, we've got to try and meet in the middle. If members have an issue on Christmas Day, Cameron Luxton just needs to get over it. His bill was different and it didn't have the support. This bill is completely different to what he put forward. I put it to him that if he really wanted his bill to pass, support this one. But don't begrudge me because yours didn't pass. This bill here is actually, Madam Speaker, going to fix an anomaly in the law. This bill doesn't affect businesses that cannot open. That's a really important point. The intention of this bill is to assist those businesses that are already legally able to operate under normal conditions. It is not the intention of this bill to allow off licences to operate. It is not the intention of this bill to allow retail businesses that can't operate to open. It is solely focused on those businesses, supermarkets, restaurants and bars that can already open but have to operate under perverse rules. Why do I say it's perverse? Well, think about this. How many times have you been at the supermarket the day before Good Friday and seen people stocking up on alcohol because you can't buy it the next day? I've done it. And then I've had it sitting there for ages because I bought too much. I would imagine many of us have done it. So these rules, they encourage stockpiling. The bizarre thing about the rules that require people to buy a meal before they drink is you've got a window before the meal and a window after the meal. I would hazard a guess that the people that take advantage of that drink more in that small window than they would have done if they were just allowed to go to the bar and buy a pint. It's just logic. Shivers, we've only got a couple of hours here. We may as well make the most of it. That is actually a perverse outcome. When the hospitality workers, who are working anyway, and will be under no further compulsion than they already have in the law, they'll be working anyway, but they have to do their jobs in a different way than they would on any other day of the year. That makes absolutely no sense. Let's consider this. We are a country that in many ways relies on tourism. They fly from all corners of the world to come and experience our beautiful country. And then they walk into a pub and they get told that they can't buy a beer unless they buy a meal. But they don't want a meal, so they walk out. That is counterproductive. This bill is very simple. It just addresses the anomaly in the liquor licensing laws. It doesn't touch on labour laws and it doesn't change the trading laws. That has been tried and it hasn't got there. It doesn't make sense that we will continue to operate in these bizarre circumstances where you can go to the supermarket, you can buy absolutely everything except a six-pack of beer or a bottle of wine. If they're already operating, Madam Speaker, why on earth can't they just operate like they normally would? This is a pragmatic change. It'll be welcomed by the hospitality industry, which have had a very difficult few years. It won't be opposed by workers because it actually allows them to work under the same conditions that they are trained to do every other day of the year. But what it does allow is for New Zealanders to continue on and have the choice that they've always had. If they want to observe their personal religious beliefs, this country respects that and they can still do that. But if others wish to make a choice, they can do so that they would on any other day without undermining those people's beliefs or actually their own. This is not the most important issue facing the country, but this is Members' Day. There are many other things that I would like to achieve in Parliament. Workers earning a living wage being one. A New Zealand head of state is another example. But here is an opportunity for the country to have a discussion at committee stage that we've never actually had and see if New Zealanders think these rules make sense. I commend it to the House.
The question is...
I mean, yeah, I'd love to have a drink with Kieran, but there is one potential issue because I was looking into this bill. I don't know how many people here are familiar with Clubs NZ, but they've got like 300 clubs or whatever.
Yep.
But they stated that Section 47A, which was introduced in 2015 to fix a long-standing anomaly, allows RSA clubs to serve alcohol between 4 a.m. and 1 p.m. on Anzac Day without needing a special license. This ensures veterans can be served a traditional tot of rum or drink following dawn services. Now, if this bill passes as it stands, Section 47A will also be repealed, stripping RSAs of this vital exemption. That means that most RSAs will once again be required to apply for special licenses to open on Anzac Day morning.
Yeah.
So that's a potential issue with the bill that needs to be brought up.
Now, what happens if, say, you're a community like the Kapiti Coast, where the RSA went bust, and the RSA membership base is now part of the Kapiti Club? The annoying thing about that is the RSA used to be next to the overbridge in Paraparaumu, next to its local war memorial cenotaph. There's the memorial hall's right next door, that sort of thing there. And, for years the dawn service used to be there, and and if you attend the dawn service, you're allowed to have breakfast. I mean, I used to do that with ATC. It was a very common thing we did. Would the Kapiti Club, are they allowed to sell alcohol in the place of the RSA because they are the local representative of the RSA branch of the Kapiti Coast?
I think that's why it needs to go to select committee, just to iron out, the little details like the one that you've just provided, just around what happens.
I mean, I don't agree with the Shannon Four Square that opens on Good Friday and Easter Sunday to be selling alcohol. I don't agree with that.
Easter weekend. Yeah, I mean, Easter weekend, you've got a lot of people driving around as well. So it's like, there could be an increased risk for, death by drunk driving.
Well, I mean, had that happened today, where I think it's earlier in the show, a black Nissan Leaf driving at 70 kilometres an hour and pouring down rain that you could barely see it.
Yeah. So,
and I mean, I got line 5 on my left eye, line 6 on my right eye. I'm a heavy driver's medical. So it's not like I'm blind. And if it turned on its lights, But yes, I mean, that's, it could increase drink driving.
Yes, I mean, I'm with Kieran here. I mean, I'd love to go out to go down to the local shop and get some alcohol. But I don't, I don't want other people to become a statistic.
Yeah, you don't want someone driving from Alfreton to the local shop just to sit there and get their 12-pack of beer and then start drinking it halfway on the way home.
That's what I would not like to see.
I think the point that Kieran was raising, though, is that that by standardizing the rules and making everyone aware of what the rules are, it's less likely to create binge drinking situations, which we've got at the moment, when we've got people going into supermarkets or going into pubs just to, you know, rules, you know, which is happening right now. I mean, everyone sees that right now when people go into the supermarket the day before and literally, you know, fill a trolley up because, you know, because they won't be able to get any tomorrow, you know.
But what happens if they do that and then they also go to the pub?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Or like I remember when I worked at BP Levin, and we had a bowls store that was behind us. Well, bowls store shut today. You know, it was frustrating that we had to deal with that sort of crap.
I mean, it's not unusual either to like buy like tons of beer and then go to the pub. The same sister that's doing her apprenticeship right now used to be the manager for the local liquor store, right? And the amount of people that just come in, just absolutely wasted. And sometimes you can't always tell who's wasted, right? Come in, you know, buy alcohol, and it's just like it's just insane. People's drinking habits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok. Who's got the order, paper pie?